This is Sportscentre.
Hey, I'm Luca and we start with breaking news from Major League Baseball, as Bichette is leaving the Toronto Blue Jays and signing with the New York Mets. It'll reportedly be a massive deal, 3 years for $126 million, meaning he'll be making $42 million a season. Now this is worst case scenario for the Jays, who missed out on Kyle Tucker yesterday to the Dodgers, and Bichette to the Mets today. Now here's an interesting wrinkle from John Heyman. Bichette will reportedly play third base for the Mets, a position he's never played before. It's an unfortunate end to a pretty darn good offseason for the Jays, missing out on Tucker and now Bichette leaving, but there's still a lot to be excited about. And here's where things get really crazy with the Bichette contract. According to Bob Nightingale, the Phillies believed they had an agreement with Bichette for a 7-year, $200 million deal, significantly less of an AAV that he just got. But when the Mets missed out on Tucker yesterday, they came in over the top and completely blew the Phillies deal out of the water. With more on the signing, here's our own Steve Phillips.
Never in my wildest imagination did I think that Bo Bichette would get $42 million a year. Now, I think the Jays would have been in for a nice contract, probably for a couple more years in the deal, but Bichette settling for the short-term deal, and this is the kind of thing that small market teams are getting priced out of the game right now. So a star going to the Mets, the Jays losing out on Tucker, plan A, and then plan B, Bo Bichette is gone too.
So after missing out on Tucker and Bichette leaving, do we see another move for the Jays? Over to hockey now, and the holiday season is behind us. We've moved into another exciting time of the year, and that's NHL trade season. Last year's trade season exploded thanks to Mikko Rantanen. And while this year won't be quite as crazy, there's still some big names that could be on the move. And you know trade season's officially kicked off when we've got the trade bait board. And with nearly a 3-week Olympic roster freeze coming in early February, this thing could start at basically any moment. So with that in mind, here's some names to keep an eye on in the coming weeks. Now this one feels like an annual tradition at this point, because we're talking about Rasmus Andersson, who's the exact type of defenseman so many contenders could use, but is stuck on the struggling Flames. But with Andersson set to become a UFA this summer, and Calgary near the bottom of the league, this has to be the time they finally move it, right? He's like the Jacob Chychrun now of NHL trade deadline defensemen, where they're always rumored to be on the move, except Chychrun was actually on the move all the time and Andersson hasn't been. I think he's a pretty valuable piece though. If a contender can get him, you're looking pretty good. And speaking of bottom feeders, we've got a pair of Canucks to add to the list as well. As with Vancouver dead last and in full tank mode, dealing Elias Pettersson and or Kiefer Sherwood makes a ton of sense. Now how Vancouver navigates trading one of those guys will be interesting, because they'll have some big obstacles to overcome in Pettersson's contract and Sherwood's health, as he's on a pretty huge contract, and Sherwood may be out of the Canucks lineup until the Olympic roster freeze. But if the stars align and you're able to get back anything for either one of those guys, you gotta do it. Last, but certainly not least, we've got one of the most intriguing names on the list, and that's Artemi Panarin, who might not have been in trade talks just a few weeks ago. But the Rangers just went through maybe the worst 4-game stretch in recent memory. So is a fire sale imminent? Now a trade isn't as cut and dry as you may think, as he does have a no trade clause. But considering an extension isn't likely according to Darren Dreger, and the fact that he's a pending UFA, you gotta think he'll get dealt, right? I have seen some connections with the Avs, and I just hope that they don't overpay for a player like that. It's also just hard to get the stink of the Rangers off of you for any player right now, so I really wonder what his value is going to be at the deadline. And yeah, we know it's January, but it's never too early to book a day off of work for Trade Center, which is March 6th on TSN. To the NFL, and we are just a day away from the divisional round of the playoffs getting started on TSN and CTV. And if it's anything close to what we got wildcard weekend, then we are getting fireworks Saturday and Sunday. Let's start with the biggest news, and that's coming out of Seattle, where Sam Darnold was added to the injury report, and he's listed as questionable with an oblique injury. Now, the injury apparently happened late in practice, but for those wondering about the severity, it's never a good sign when your QB is added to the injury report this late in the week. And yesterday in practice, we had backup quarterback Drew Lock taking first-team reps, which never happens unless there's actually a chance Darnold misses the game. Drew Lock playing a playoff game is it's just taken this divisional weekend for me as a Broncos fan in a completely different direction I didn't expect. And speaking of those Broncos, injuries are also the main concern in their game against the Bills. On the Bills side, the list is long. We knew earlier in the week about the receiver injuries, but now we officially know cornerback Maxwell Hairston and safety Jordan Poyer are out tomorrow, with Ty Johnson, Ed Oliver, Terrell Bernard, Curtis Samuel, and DeMar Hamlin all questionable. Now on the Broncos side, it's all about Dre Greenlaw, who who logged 2 limited practices Tuesday and Wednesday, and then was a full participant yesterday. And get excited, Broncos fans, he enters the weekend with no injury designation. Greenlaw last played December 21st in that beatdown loss to the Jags, and missed the next 2 with a hamstring injury. Greenlaw and Ufanga, those are the 2 guys you brought in the offseason to change the attitude of this defense and this team. This is the game that they were brought in for. While injuries are the major storylines for Saturday's games, it's weather that's making all the headlines on Sunday. Now this video is of Chicago just 2 days ago. That's what they call football weather right there in the Windy City. Nothing gets me more fired up than that. Now freezing temperatures are expected for kickoff and either rain or snow. Sean McVay isn't worrying about what he can't control.
Is there a different approach though with the fact that you're practicing in 80-degree weather for a few days and then boom, straight to that?
You know, what we're going to do is we're going to get the biggest cold plunge ever, and everybody's going to see if we can sit in that thing for 3 hours, okay? We're not going to sit here and waste our emotional energy on things that we can't control. I don't have a weather machine, stuff like that. We do have a lot of guys that have been accustomed to playing in these types of, situations, whether it's previous teams or whether it be just where they played their college ball in outdoor stadiums.
While McVay might be speaking confidently, here's where you have to worry. Matt Stafford is just 1-8 in bad weather games, with 14 touchdowns and 11 picks. I've already kind of been leaning Chicago for some reason. They just excite me. The pass catchers are so fun. The defense is like the most opportunistic defense, and like turnovers regress and whatever, but like this year they've just been on a generational run with that stuff. Yeah, give me the Bears in the Windy City at home to do this. In the other game between the Texans and Pats, weather was also looking pretty bad, but our most recent check has it between -1 and -3, with a 70% chance of snow and wind gusts up to 20 kilometers per hour. Football weather, baby. You can watch the divisional round on TSN and CTV. It all starts Saturday with Bills and Broncos at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Pacific. Then after that, it's the Niners and Seahawks. And Sunday at 3 Eastern, noon Pacific, we've got the Texans and Pats, followed by the Rams and Bears. Now joined by our gambling guy, Wes Chang. Great to see you, Wes.
What's going on, Luca?
Okay, Wes, the Raps are just past the halfway point of the season and are a pleasant surprise at 4th in the conference. Is there a future bet that stands out for them in the back half of the year?
Nothing really jumps off the page, but I think it's a good time to look at the Raptors win total, and I think over 45.5 is still good play. Look, I'll start off with the negatives. They have the 6th toughest strength of schedule remaining. They have a 5-game Western Conference road trip on the horizon. But I'm more encouraged by the fact that this is the 4th best defense in the NBA. They're already playing at a 48-win pace, so that means they only got to be 2 games above 500 the rest of the way to clear this mark. But the one that really pops off, Poeltl was out 12 games ago. They've been 8-4 since. Very encouraging that they've been able to sustain without having a true center in the lineup.
Okay, Wes, we need a best bet for tonight's game against the Clippers.
Yeah, I got a related bet here. I like CMB to go over his rebounding and assist combo, which sits at 10.5. He's covered this line 5 of the last 7 games since being a starter, 3 of the last 3 since RJ's been out of the lineup. During this span, he's had the 3rd best offensive rebounding rate in the NBA. And then when it comes to his passing, sneaky good on that end, getting his teammates easy looks. And you might look at the Clippers and say, hey, this is the best team since the NBA Cup, but you wouldn't count on their defensive rebounding being so bad. Even with Zubac in the lineup, they're the 3rd worst defensive rebounding team in the NBA. Great opportunity here for CMB.
Wes Chang, thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for having me.
As soon as you finish watching the show, you need to head to BarDown's YouTube channel immediately, because we're continuing to cook up some hot content. As we took 50 shots on PWHL goalie Kaylee Osborne. I don't want to give too much away, you gotta watch the video, but she robbed us all day and was not afraid to chirp, especially chirps against me.
It helps if the puck comes off the ice.
Oh no! Why was your glove there?
Well, because you're moving so slow.
I'm getting roasted. Oh! No!
I think you're more of a slot shooter.
Okay. Oh no! I couldn't get it over.
I don't think he can ever get it up.
It was honestly the most impressive performance ever. She just finished practice, stops most of our shots, and has like the chirps off the top of the head to 2 people she hadn't even met yet. Like, incredible performance from top to bottom. To watch the full video, head to BarDown's YouTube page or just click the link below if you're watching on Insta. That's all for today. We'll see you back here Monday, and DZ is the worst.